Good evening, Chicago. Coming to you on another rainy night. I think that we're going to have to create a rain intro for the show with some beautiful Chicago skylines behind us. But before I continue, I would like to introduce my two guest hosts. I guess tonight it's going to be the three amigos. Here is Mr. Kit Cabello.
Hi, everyone. The storm was rough leaving the studio. You can't tell I'm a little frizzled. I'm out of my work clothes. Had a great interview with Robbie Yeager, but the storm is real outside, and it was crazy. Sorry for showing up a little late.
No, you're not. You made it. You made it on time, and that you got a good grizzled, rough Chicago street look. And I'm also introducing or bringing into the broadcast Mr. Ed Heller. And
hello.
There he is. Our frequent Hardlands Media and Chicago Corner moderators joining us tonight. I'm glad you could participate in the conversation. I always love seeing what you have to add in the comments, and I always enjoy you could join us on the show with a camera too, so we can see your face.
Yeah, I don't know why, but somehow I have HD available to me today, so I flipped the switch on the thing, and we're going to cross our fingers and hope for the best.
Oh, you mean HD and StreamYard?
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, the last few times I was on, it was only offering me 720p, and this time it said I could go 1080. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens.
Well, this wasn't planned, but I'm glad you mentioned that because I actually upgraded our StreamYard account to HD, along with putting a link down in the comments below where you can get one of these amazing Chicago Corner mugs to help support our StreamYard costs.
Although I do look a little blurry on the replay here. Let's see if maybe I got a dirty lens here.
Okay. Careful.
We're live.
You look all right.
You're looking good, Ed. You're looking good. So yeah, I did upgrade our account to HD because I want us all to look as good as we can. And if anybody wants to contribute, since YouTube's not monetizing us until we get to 1,000 subscribers, you can help that way by asking your friends, sharing our channel to like and subscribe. But in the meantime, you can also purchase one of these very, very stylish Chicago Corner mugs through our Cafe Press link below. And those proceeds will go towards covering our streaming expenses here on Chicago Corner. Any interesting news that the two of you want to share? I know, Kit, you just told us about your special guest tonight on Chicago Corner. Also, since the announcement is finally public, why don't you tell us what's happening over at Hardlands Media now? You broke that news, I think it was Monday?
Yes, so it happened yesterday. So I want to let everyone know what's going on. Hardlands Media, just like Chicago Corner and Chicago Reacts, they're all under the 99 Perspective studio. And so, Jerry, Edward, you've both been at our studio that's a little bit further up on the north side. But with all the work that we're doing now, we have to expand our operations because we want to do something for the city of Chicago and open our space up so that other Chicagoans can do a show of their own, do their own recordings, or anything of that manner. And so the news is that we're moving to a larger studio over there close by Fulton Market. It's really great. It's on the 5th floor. Great skyline view of the city. We've got a lot of space there. We got a rooftop patio, which is pretty cash money, in my opinion. And it's just a brand new opportunity for all of us at Hardlands Media, Chicago Corner, and Chicago Reacts, and all the other projects we're working on. But we also want to let everyone know in the Chicagoland area, this is open to you. So if you haven't had a chance yet, check out our 99 Perspectives website that Edward, our wonderful moderator, helped make for us. So if you're interested in being a client for 99 Perspectives, you can use that new studio setup. Now, we're still moving in, and it's going to take a little bit for us to get set up, but we are moving at a fast pace so that everything is up and running. So Chicago audience, spread the word that something new, something that hasn't been seen in the city of Chicago is now being accessible for the people of Chicago, and I'm really excited about this brand new move.
And people had access also to the old 99 Perspective studio, but this place is really styling. It's huge. It's going to give us an opportunity also to finally maybe have a presence in the studio with our own set as opposed to my living room, although I'm not complaining that I don't have to get myself together to leave the house to broadcast, but it will be cool having a set where we can also have guests come in and take advantage of all the great amenities that are going to be there. So, it adds production value to our broadcasts,
and
along with fine commentators.
And, you know, for those of you who don't know, Daniel and I, we started off on the streets with a Galaxy S7 cell phone, built our way up to be on 2 radio stations, have a three-season series on CAN TV, which is a public access Chicago network on television. And then we got our way onto YouTube, and we've come a long way. And this new studio spot is the spot to make it happen. And I'm really excited for all the new opportunities there.
Absolutely. I'm very glad that you guys locked that in and the news is finally public. We can share with everybody.
Long overdue.
Let me go into our first story here. It's a new story, but it's an old story because as this has been shared with everybody recently about the expressway cameras that are being installed by the Illinois State Police, I want to share from what was reported this past February. Actually, this is February 11th from Channel 5 Chicago. Illinois State Police got $12.5 million to install high-definition surveillance cameras to address an increase in expressway shootings. The grant money comes as shootings on Cook County expressways more than doubled over the last year. In 2020, there were 128 shootings, compared with 52 shootings the year before, State Police said. So far this year, there have been 27 shootings. This is as of the past February, with 11 injuries and 3 fatalities, and we have seen those numbers go up shockingly and alarmingly. The grant, provided by the Illinois Department of Transportation, will be used to install license plate reading cameras in 47 places to collect evidence needed to detect and deter crime. ISP Director Brendan Kelly said in a statement, "Oh, another Kelly. We have another Kelly in some of our other stories. I wonder if they're related."
That could be. It's Chicago politics, after all.
Yeah. State Police will also install software to match license plates with those in a database. Last year, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the Tamara-Clayton Expressway Camera Act, which required the state to install new cameras on expressways. Current expressway cameras are low definition and don't record video. The act was named for a postal worker who was shot and killed on her way to work on Interstate 57 in 2019. Governor Pritzker said no one should feel afraid for their life or safety on Illinois expressways, and Tamara Clayton's tragic death must not be forgotten, and we must do everything we can to prevent more expressway shootings. A sponsor of the bill, Representative Thaddeus Jones of Calumet City, said the cameras will not necessarily stop the shootings on expressways, but will be used as a tool to catch those people who are using our expressways as their own personal shooting range. State Police said the cameras will not be used for other offenses such as speeding.
Right.
Yet
Sounds
is how I punctuate that. Yet. Now, yeah, Kit, let's go into this. There's a lot of ways to look at this. Of course, there should be security on our expressways, and of course, perhaps these cameras might help them catch shooters, but I would imagine that most people flying around on the expressway shooting people from their cars probably aren't driving in their own vehicles if they don't have stolen cars. So you're going to match a license plate on the expressway and maybe discover, oh, that car belongs to somebody whose car was stolen, and you're not going to find the perpetrator. Additionally, and this was part of a story we reported about a couple weeks ago, will they actually, I guess they could match the make of the vehicle with the license plate to confirm that license plate belongs to the vehicle, unlike what our traffic cameras that are issued for speeders or people that might have to fly through a red light do when they issue the tickets and don't follow the state and city municipal codes. I would imagine that the state police are going to discover really quickly when they try to match the license plate and look at the make of the vehicle, whether or not that vehicle belongs to those plates. The plates aren't stolen or the vehicle isn't stolen. But then there are issues related to ACLU issues, privacy. I did a little bit of research and saw that despite the fact we've got all of these cameras all over Chicagoland, and I'm not talking about traffic cameras, but our neighborhood cameras, seems that the only crimes that they seem to deter are drug crimes and vandalism, because people don't want to get caught on camera doing drug deals or vandalizing a building. They're not stopping violence, and I don't know how many crimes they've managed to help the police solve outside of how we saw them in actually a useful manner with the Toledo shooting, where we were able to see another angle of what happened in that alley that was matched against what the police cameras showed us of what was going on. So, Kit, what are some of your thoughts on this?
Well, here's the thing, how I feel about this surveillance state that we're living in. It's great. Okay, here's the thing. You can capture things on camera. You can capture the events. But if you're not, but if there's no way to really stop it, you have it on film, and yeah, you can catch it. But the thing is, this seems like more of a way just to keep an eye on everyone. It's going to cost more taxpayer money. And let's look at these red light cameras, for example. Maybe it's a different subject, but these red light cameras have been a burden to the working class people in the city of Chicago. It hasn't really done anything. And I'm more concerned about this reliance of surveillance on the people. Now, of course, when there's a crime being committed, yes, we need to stop it. Yes, we need to identify who these individuals are and stop them as soon as possible. But see, there's a reason why there's such a large uptick in crime in the city of Chicago in the first place. Because one, lack of resources for communities that are struggling, that have been struggling for decades in this hyper-segregated city of ours. I'm going to say that again. Chicago is a hyper-segregated city. There are still Chicago public schools and community centers that are still shut down, not only from the previous Rahm Emanuel administration, but from other administrations that have been ruling this city with a callous policy towards Latin American communities, African American communities, working class communities, and crime. The reason why it's such an uptick is because, again, there's a lack of resources for people to actually thrive in. There's a lack of job opportunities. And if we don't actually try and build our communities up, we're going to see more crime. We're going to see more desperation. And then what is the city's solution? More surveillance, more cameras. Okay, you got the cameras out there. That's fine. That's great. But it won't solve the problem. It's still going to be out there. And
the underlying problems that are causing all of this.
And unless this city council, unless this mayor or future mayor is prepared to actually start funding our communities, actually stopping crime in a way to where communities can grow, people can actually build, entrepreneurship can actually happen, nothing's going to change. So you can have all the cameras in the world. It's not going to stop crime from happening. It's going to still continue on.
And it's going to increase the opportunities to collect more revenue once those cameras that are put in there for surveillance then are suddenly modified for on the expressways, going 5-10 miles over the limit?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, even then, like now the red light cameras, a lot of Chicagoans are really aware where they're at. So, of course, we're all obeying the traffic signals. So now the red light cameras, there's been a lot of stories of how they've been ticketing people even as they are obeying the laws, or there are certain signs that are giving contradictory information of what kind of turn signals they can use or where they can park or which way they can go down the street now. Because, again, the city council wants to bleed us all dry, even though we still have the TIF funds. I got to recommend this again. Read the book, Chicago's Not Broke, everyone. We have resources to fund our city. And the thing is, I just want to focus back on the schools. Recently, former mayoral candidate, activist, entrepreneur, Jamal Green did a small protest on top of an abandoned school on the south side of Chicago. He was pulled down by a large police force.
Police helicopters. It was like they were responding to a bank robbery.
Exactly. And what was the city's response to that? Put more lighting and surveillance in that abandoned school instead of funding the school. You can make as much surveillance as you want. It's not going to change anything. That abandoned building could be a community center. That abandoned building could be a school. These cameras, bad idea.
As a side note to that story, Kit, Jamal had tweeted on social media, and I'm hoping to follow up with him on this, that someone from the city has reached out to his organization about potentially releasing that land, since he's got the private funds to develop it into a youth center. So hopefully there will be some positive notes on that story in the future. Ed, what are some of your thoughts regarding the cameras on the expressway and the surveillance all around us, everywhere else with the traffic cameras and the speed cameras?
Well, it's the typical response most people have is it's just, my privacy is a problem. And then my state using $12.5 million for these cameras is a problem. And the fact that we know that they're not going to stop at grabbing license plates from, fleeing vehicles. They're definitely going to want to use these for speed cameras for revenue.
And remember, everybody, the tickets that you're getting right now by Illinois and Chicago state municipal codes are supposed to include the make of your vehicle on those tickets, and they will identify your vehicle as other. And you know why they don't why they're supposed to identify the make of your vehicle, to make sure the tags that are caught by the camera match the car that they took a photograph of. That's checks and balances. But the city of Chicago doesn't feel they need to do those checks and balances when they want to take $100 from you if you've gone 5 miles or 8 miles over the limit. So, as I've said before, I'm not an advocate for speeding or running red lights, but these programs are not about safety. They're a money grab. And they're more aptly at the expense of people of color, because most of the cameras in the city are in privileged neighborhoods all throughout the South and West sides. You drive down there, it's like every other block, you'll see a speed camera or a traffic camera. And, if you're not paying attention for one moment, despite the fact you're being careful, they will be inside your wallet. So,
one more thing I can add to this.
Sure.
I got to look at the press release that they had back in February for this program for the cameras. And it mentions that they're purchasing software as well as the cameras, which means they'll probably try to find a way to get this software to work with their existing speed camera system if that helps them add more revenue by identifying the license plates. So
yeah, there are some legislators downstate who are trying to ban traffic cameras statewide as far as traffic, and I think red light cameras. I don't know if they're interested in knocking out the cameras that are around parks, but I do know that there are some legislators that are trying to do a blanket rule to get rid of red light cameras throughout the state. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, that they're rolling this out, I just wonder what the oversight is like as far as the software you're talking about, adaptable into other means to go past taking a picture of a potential shooter's license plate mismatched to, a stolen vehicle, or using those cameras for other means. They say in today's article from Channel 5 that there will be more than 200 license plate cameras installed throughout the area over the next year. So I guess we're going to have to sit and wait with that one.
And the thing is, on Heartland's Media, how many times have we covered where, police say they identified a perp or a house or a car or an individual that fit a profile because of the cameras or the surveillance cameras, but they got the wrong person, and then a disaster happens. Look, Chicago already dealt with that horrible shooting of that young boy earlier this year. And, this is a recipe for disaster. Instead of building these surveillance cameras that could be used to basically ticket people, why don't we start, investing into our city, using the TIF funds, and maybe making sure that those rich corporations that are in the downtown area that pay zero in taxes pay their fair share too. I mean, we're constantly being bled dry in this city, and we need elected officials that are going to fight for us. That's why in 2023, we're going to be dealing with our municipal election cycle, and here's hoping we get a whole new crop of progressives and independents that will actually replace the old guard that has been crippling us for decades.
I'd like to end this segment with running the video from WTTW, and their report was, will cameras on Chicago expressways help deter shootings? Let's hear what they have to say and then kind of close out of this into our next segment.
In 2019, Tamara Clayton was driving on I-57 on her way to work when she was shot and killed. Years later, a law passed in her honor that allows cameras to go up along certain Illinois expressways is now taking effect. Amanda Vinicky joins us now with the latest. And Amanda, you report on this as another shooting occurred just today on the Eisenhower Expressway. What's the latest?
Yeah, Paris.
This is from yesterday.
It is evidence of Clayton's case. By the way, police have not caught her killer, not being isolated. As you noted, expressway shootings have skyrocketed. In 2018 and in 2019, there were around 50 shootings annually. Last year, that jumped to 128. And by this time in 2020, there were 71 shootings. So far this year, with more than 4 months left of 2021, the Illinois State Police report 158 of these shootings. And Loyola criminologist Arthur Lorigio says this is an issue where Chicago is an outlier.
Major cities have not experienced the same phenomenon. I've talked to police chiefs all over the country about this because I am working on trying to come up with a plan to help Chicago address this problem with violence. And this appears to be unique. And I mean the word unique.
Now, he is not sure why, though he does offer some ideas. Could be because of the easy exits and entrance on expressways. Criminals may feel like they'll have an easier time eluding police. It could also be that in a subculture of violence, this has become normative in certain places. And then it could just be a vicious cycle as well. Stretches of highway about high crime areas of the city, and a conflict in neighborhood streets may carry over to the expressway.
I want to add something here too. I was scrolling down the article on this side. The law took effect in January of 2020, and it expires in July of 2023. It's August of 2021, so we're going to have maybe a year and a half. Well, actually, no, about 2 years with these cameras to see if they are actually effective in catching the perpetrators.
The Eisenhower Expressway has been a place where people come from all over Chicagoland and beyond to buy drugs, get off the expressway, purchase, get back on, go back home.
Just this afternoon, in fact, 290 was closed for a couple of hours to traffic going eastward after state police reported an expressway shooting. 2 gunshot victims self-transported themselves, that is, to a local hospital, police say. And also recently, a special education teacher was shot and killed on her way home from a White Sox game. DePaul transportation expert Joe Schreiderman says that these shootings are so arbitrary, someone just trying to get from point A to point B, that this gets extra attention from people and from the media.
That sort of plays to people's apprehension that coming into the city carries with it some risk merely by being on the highway.
All right, we know all the dangers. The article also says that originally the plan didn't call for automatic license plate reading at the state police's recommendation. That's not part of it. So, like I said, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm hopeful that this actually does help them catch shooters on the expressways. But as I mentioned earlier, as we've all mentioned, our largest concerns are how this might end up rolling over into something else and not what it was originally intended for.
Wow. Look, here's the thing. Yes, there's a lot of violence in Chicago. There is a lot of it here. But that can be stopped if we start implementing programs to actually get people off the streets, funding our schools, and building entrepreneurship programs, and also ending this war on drugs. Already we've legalized cannabis in this state. We need to start looking at what's causing the problem. You want to stop the bad guys. You want to stop the cartels. You want to stop all these police shootings and everything else. We got to start looking at the bigger issues, and that is there's a lack of resources for our people. Chicago can be turned around. It just requires political leadership that has the initiative to break away from the whole mindset of I have a hammer and everything's a nail. The surveillance system, it's just going to add more fuel to the fire of already anxious, angry, upset people.
It's not preventative, it's reactive.
Agreed.
That's what the big problem is. Oh, moving on to our next story. I'm sure everybody in Chicago has heard about this having happened. The landing of these Amazon locker UFOs all across the city in several parks, and the removal of them after that because a lot of older persons, as they now like to be called, weren't even aware that these things were going in.
Yeah, so it's like they are appearing like those monoliths in 2001,
They look like them too.
All of a sudden they're there, and you're like, okay, what are we doing about these, and where the hell did they come from?
And then they disappear. But this update comes to us from Block Club Chicago. And as far as like what the reasons were for putting these things in, the lockers will net the Park District $137,600 at most for first year contract shows. Alderman Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez of the 33rd said it's not enough to justify having branding in our parks. It is absolutely not enough. I think it is a slap in the face. And this is reported by Mina Bloom. The Park District is set to make $89,900 to $137,600 in its first full year of a following of allowing retail giant Amazon to install controversial delivery lockers in more than 100 public parks, and critics say the amount does not justify the intrusion. Block Club obtained the Park District's contract with Amazon through a public records request after several lockers were installed on sidewalks, partially blocking them in parks earlier this month. The contract shows Amazon pays the Park District, ready for this? $50 a month for each of the
get the hell out of here.
for each of the smallest of the steel lockers, which are 6 feet wide. The contract calls for a $125 a month payments for the largest lockers, which are 15 feet wide. A total of 49 lockers have been installed in city parks. The majority of those lockers are 6 or 9 foot versions, according to figures provided by the Park District. Another 53 lockers are scheduled to be installed in parks around the city this year. If all of those lockers are 6 feet wide, the Park District may make about $69,900 for a full 12 months of rent. It would also get a one-time $20,000 payment for allowing at least 100 lockers. This means the Park District could get as little as $89,900 in the first year. These seem like pretty low numbers. And I want to share something that I saw on social media from a friend of mine, Laura S., in response to what we're hearing in this article. Some questions that she raises. Really incidental, but she's curious. If the boxes are damaged or tagged, graffitied, etc., who pays to fix to restore them? Amazon or the taxpayers? If someone's stuff is stolen out of a box, who makes up for that? Amazon or the taxpayers? If Amazon wants security cameras on their boxes, who decides and who pays? She's gone to one of the Amazon drop-offs with lockers, and it's inside a staffed location, which means Amazon has to lease or purchase property. But here the Park District just basically gave away property for a pittance of what Amazon would pay inside a building in a high rent area like the one she goes to in Lincoln Park. There are so many things wrong with this deal. Why can't us citizens just do our jobs and trust our appointed and elected official to do theirs properly? I would be fired if I did something like this. And to that point also, the Park District Commissioner, Mike Kelly, apparently he did this behind closed doors. He didn't present this. He didn't have to present this to the Park District Board before doing the backroom deal to let this go forward.
Yeah, he didn't run this by anybody.
No. And that's how we suddenly saw these things appearing, literally blocking walking and bike paths. Wherever Amazon wanted to drop these fucking things, just that's it. They brought them in on the forklift, dropped them. That was it. Nothing beyond that, out of nowhere, with no one knowing when or how this was ever approved.
Yeah, you can go on Twitter right now and run a search for Amazon lockers in Chicago and come up with photos of where some of them have been placed, and they're all in really terrible places. I mean, just so gaudy and terrible. And yeah, the obvious one that stuck out was the one that was covering half of a sidewalk, but they're just putting them anywhere.
Yeah, and this is a way for Amazon also to try and promote its brand, get everywhere. But look how easily the parks got played. I mean, our live stream's already. I'm bringing it up. Shout out to Ware Pilgrim, says the park got played, and they did. $50, $50. Amazon pays $0 in taxes, $0 in taxes, and they're a $1 billion industry. The city of Chicago, which is also, again, we hear from corporate media and from our politicians that, oh, it's struggling. We're broke. Why didn't the city of Chicago decide to, I don't know, shake out Amazon's pockets? Because they want that connection. They want to have those ties to Amazon. So they'll sell away all the public property. And the thing is, I'm wondering if they're going to put an Amazon Wellness Center or an Amazon Community Center, what, in Millennium Park, in Grant Park next? Where else are they going to put all this crap? Because that's what I could see happening very soon. And guess who's going to pay for it?
Right next to the bean, right?
Yeah, I want to see them put one. That's where you'll never see one, Ed. They'll never put it next to the bean. They'll just put it in the smaller residential neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Where people can hide behind them to mug people at night, or kids on the bike paths might not see them in the dark, or thankfully they moved them from the walkways, but that's where they were dumping them originally.
Yeah, it just seems it's kind of ridiculous that anyone running the parks would think that it's okay for Amazon to put these boxes all over the parks like that. I mean, obviously you would put them you know, where the post offices are, and there's a ton of post offices, and they probably have boxes there already, right?
That actually makes too much sense, Ed. Way too
And
much
then-
sense. Just
and
put them
then
in
you
post
could-
offices.
And there's got to be a bunch of other public locations that are more appropriate than just dropping them in the middle of a park.
So I would opine there that perhaps the reasons that they were put in the parks is because other places would require more oversight and more approvals than the park district superintendent just making this backroom deal without putting it before the board and just ramming it through.
It also makes you wonder what exactly motivated Mike Kelly to put this deal through. And I'm thinking somebody needs to do some investigation on this guy.
Well, our alderman of the 33rd, she says, Rodriguez Sanchez, the lockers grabbed attention a little more than a week ago. It's not enough to justify having branding in our parks. It's absolutely not enough. I think this is a slap in the... Oh, she said that earlier. The lockers grabbed attention a little more than a week ago. Rodriguez Sanchez and Alderman Samantha Nugent of the 39th spoke out against lockers in their respective wards, one in Brands Park and another in the Forest Park Playlock, for partially blocking the sidewalk and preventing people from easily passing through the public spaces. They didn't even put this by the alderman and let him know what was going on. Probably under cover of night is how these things were installed.
Well,
Photos
that's
of-
how politics works. Remember what happened to Big Field a long time
Yeah, oh
ago?
yeah, that's right. Old Man Daley. Tear up what he didn't want, and it never faced any consequences for it. Photos of the lockers went viral and social media erupted with criticism. Many had more sweeping concerns about Amazon's presence in public parks. The company and its founder, Jeff Bezos, have faced widespread criticism for the poor treatment of Amazon workers and grueling workplace conditions. After a social media firestorm, the park district quickly removed the two lockers targeted by Nugent and Rodriguez Sanchez. The city agency also launched a review of Amazon's plans and put future installations on hold until that review is complete. But Ed, I agree with you. There should be an investigation behind much more detail in what transpired before all this. Oh, additionally, they don't have to tell us anything when we ask. A park district spokeswoman initially rejected a request for the contract as the news was unfolding, instead of asking for a Freedom of Information Act public records request to basically stonewall, but eventually she provided the contract. I'm sure the heat was on and they couldn't avoid that anymore. While some critics are outraged over the figures, others are less concerned with the contract itself and are more troubled by the propriety of using public space for private profit and the park district's handling of the situation. Juanita Irizarry, executive director of Friends of the Parks, is among them. Regardless of how much it is, the Chicago Park District needs to stay on mission and not pursue income streams that disrupt the purpose of public parks, Irizarry said in a statement. Asked for her reaction to the contract, Irizarry slammed the park district for what she described as a lack of transparency surrounding the plan. She said the lockers represent a trend of opaqueness in the city agency. Friends of the Parks is concerned about patterns of lack of transparency that we observe at the Chicago Park District under the leadership of Mike Kelly. She said, "We imagine that the park district has moved this business with Amazon lockers forward in small bits so as to avoid the public scrutiny of vetting a larger contract in the full light of day at its Board of Commissioners meetings. The Park District is also catching heat from the city's small business community for partnering with Amazon when mom and pop shops across the city have struggled to survive the pandemic." Rudy Flores, executive director of the Lincoln Square Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce, said his organization has heard from many small business owners looking to use the city's public outdoor spaces to conduct business as indoor service was halted or limited for more than a year. But Flores said the Park District has not opened up those spaces to small businesses, owners outside of the food industry. Our small businesses invest in our communities by preventing commercial vacancies, contribute to local property taxes, employ neighborhood residents, fundraise for our local schools, and so much more, Flores said in a written statement. If any opportunity is available for commerce in the Park District, it should be given to those entrepreneurs that put their sweat and equity into making our communities thrive. Hear, hear. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Agreed.
So our park district is also involved in another, I would say, even worse scandal. And this goes back to this story was reported earlier this year, but it's just getting uglier. And let me bring up the previous article, and then we can go into what just happened recently, where the mayor is concerned. And this has to do with the Chicago Park District scandal in the wake of the lifeguard sexual abuse scandal. For months, reporters have asked Park District officials to discuss accusations of sexual abuse by lifeguards, a possible culture of tolerance for such abuse, and exactly what is being done about it. And this came from the Chicago Sun-Times editorial board. Is it too much to ask what's going on? Apparently so when it comes to the Chicago Park District and misbehaving lifeguards. For the past several months, reporters for WBEZ and more recently the Sun-Times have asked Park District officials to discuss as best as personal matters legally allow accusations of sexual abuse that have been leveled against lifeguards, a possible culture of tolerance for such abuse, and exactly what is being done about it. In response, Park District officials have offered up only partial and sketchy responses. It all might suggest that this public agency would rather not come clean with the public. Here then, for the record, are a few of the many questions which reporters continue to wait for full and complete responses. Earlier last year, a female Park District lifeguard complained of physical abuse, sexual harassment, and drug and alcohol use by lifeguards at Oak Street Beach. Superintendent Kelly wrote to the young woman in an email of February 7th, 2020, that he would forward her report to the district's inspector general for an independent investigation, and he thanked her for her courage. But Kelly then waited 6 weeks before forwarding the complaint to the inspector general on March 19th of 2020, and he did so only after the mayor's office had forwarded to the Park District a second woman's more graphic complaint. Why the 6-week delay? The Park District, in a June 23rd letter posted on the district's website, say Kelly took immediate action when notified of the allegations of misconduct, but why was the inspector general not notified for so long, and what other immediate action, if any, was there? On that Friday, Kelly told a reporter for WBBM Radio that he wanted to give first crack to his top staffers to look into the matter, and that, I would say, would be internally, a fact that an earlier version of this editorial failed to note. For this, we apologize to Kelly. A report released by Park District Inspector General Elaine Little in July concluded that 6 female lifeguards, 6, had in fact been sexually harassed and assaulted by male coworkers, and this included an attempted rape. All 3 accused male lifeguards no longer work for the Park District. 2 resigned during the Inspector General's investigation to avoid being fired. A 3rd resigned earlier this year. You can see all these questions on the Sun-Times editorial page, but I want to fast forward to now, what was just reported yesterday by Dan Mihalopoulos at WBEZ Chicago, as the mayor is involved now. And the ex-lifeguard who detailed the abuse to Lightfoot is very disappointed in the mayor's response. I also want to mention that this Kelly, Superintendent Kelly, is a carryover from Rahm Emanuel's administration. I don't know why he wasn't replaced, given a lot of the questions in his leadership or lack thereof since then. But as far as it comes to Mayor Lightfoot, let me go through this article, what ended up happening there. The young woman who sent a complaint letter last year to Mayor Lori Lightfoot alleging a huge incident of sexual violence among Chicago Park District lifeguards now says she's very disappointed in Lightfoot's response to the scandal. And the woman called on the mayor to fire her arrogant parks chief, Michael Kelly, and the Park District's board president, Avis Lavelle, over their handling of the internal investigation into sexual misconduct at the city's beaches and pools that her letter sparked. Now in her mid-20s, the woman wrote to Lightfoot on March 6th of 2020 to tell the mayor she was sexually abused. We just recounted that in 2020. We're now in August of 2021. The mayor's office forwarded the complaint to Kelly. He took his time, internal investigation, blah, blah, blah. Earlier this month, the first whistleblower also expressed deep dissatisfaction with how the mayor and Kelly have dealt with the allegations, although that woman initially said it was not for her to say whether Lightfoot should fire Park District leaders. But now, for the first time, the second whistleblower is speaking about the city's handling of the probe and the sudden suspension of its lead investigator this month. She agreed to be interviewed on the condition of anonymity, which BEZ generally grants to people who say they've been victims of sexual misconduct. I'm very disappointed with how Mayor Lightfoot handled this, the woman told us. In a statement Sunday, a Lightfoot spokesman said the mayor's office had promptly acted upon the woman's complaint by forwarding it to the Park District and did not address the whistleblower's call for the mayor to fire Kelly and Lavelle. There have been complaints about dozens of workers in the aquatics department regularly preying on underage teen girls and young women. And investigators told Kelly, his top lawyer with the Park District Board in March, that they were engaged in a larger, ongoing, and highly sensitive review that could also expose any systematic failings. But the first-term mayor and her $230,000 a year parks chief have strenuously defended their handling of the matter. Kelly held a news conference last week to announce the suspensions of 2 high-level park managers, and he said his long delay in sending the first whistleblower's complaint to the park's internal watchdog had not negatively affected the probe. But the woman who complained to Lightfoot told WBEZ that those statements offended her. He's so arrogant to say he thinks he did the right thing and stands by what he did, the woman said of Kelly. I thought it was ridiculous that he said this publicly. He really doesn't care at all. He just cares about his image. In a statement Sunday, Park District officials said they were cooperating with the ongoing probe. Any actions we've taken have been in an effort to advance the investigation. The young woman says it's really political. The young woman who shared her story of her own sexual attack with the mayor said she only decided to speak publicly in recent days after reading the interview with the other initial whistleblower. The woman who complained to Lightfoot questioned why the mayor is allowing Kelly and Lavelle to keep their positions despite the probe dragging on for 17 months. And I think this is at the heart of all of this long article reading. Why is this kind of stuff taking so long, and why aren't heads rolling faster? Both were appointed by Lightfoot's predecessor, Rahm Emanuel. I feel like it's really political, which is how everything is in Chicago, said the young woman, who worked as a Park District lifeguard for several years. Kelly needs to step up his game a lot, or they need to put someone in there who will take it seriously. And on Sunday, the other ex-lifeguard who wrote to Kelly in February 2020 says she now also hopes the park's chief gets fired because there needs to be consequences for his actions. Kelly has led the Park District for a decade, 10 years, has said he has no plans to resign and has begun enacting reforms. Officials say those moves were intended to protect the district's workforce and eradicate the culture of misconduct that has long existed within the aquatics department. One thing struck me on coming across these two stories to talk about tonight was the link with Kelly between the Amazon lockers and just doing shit behind the scenes without any kind of oversight or accountability, and then letting this kind of a scandal where people were actually assaulted, raped, preyed upon, just go 17 months until they put any time or effort into investigating what went on or getting rid of people who assaulted these women.
All right, look, once again, another failure of the Lightfoot administration. This could have been stopped, one and done. But no, once again, Lightfoot disappoints. She kept in a former Rahm Emanuel appointee. This all could have been addressed right away. And the thing is I wonder why there was such a lack of action by Mayor Lightfoot, who, again, ran on a lot of reforms. I remember the 2019 election cycle here in the city of Chicago. Lightfoot made a lot of promises, and here again is another example of her failure. And how does Lightfoot address these failures? Well, because she has a record of being thin-skinned, she will never really have a full, complete answer. She'll just deflect, and then move on to another subject, and never will address this situation. What happened to these lifeguards and to these women that have been abused there is appalling. And I wish we actually had a mayor that was going to do something about it. But sadly, Lightfoot is not that mayor to do that. She dropped the ball and she let these people down.
So, interesting side note here also in the article, Lavelle was once the top spokeswoman for ex-mayor Richard M. Daley, and her public relations firm has enjoyed a long list of clients with sensitive political interests, including the private concessionaires of the Chicago Skyway Toll Road and the city's parking meter system.
And if
Oh,
memory serves, I believe she was also a radio broadcaster for WGN for quite a number of years.
it's all connected.
That does, yeah, her name does sound, yeah.
There's a long-standing system of cronyism that's going on in this city, and it's quite apparent in this story when you see how Avis Lavelle has gone from, media person to representative for Mayor Richard M. Daley to, an assistant, or I forget what her title is, for the Park District. And then this Kelly guy has been with the Park District for 10 years leading the thing while all this stuff is going on.
This is why we need Friends of the Parks, who are constantly combating what the Park District is doing or trying to challenge them on more accountability with these things that they're ramming down on public lands, or in this case, what's happening in public accommodations like the beaches and pools and stuff with these lifeguards. I don't know, guys. It's Chicago town.
Yeah,
There is still hope.
Chicago town, Jake.
There is still hope for this city. I think there's a lot of good people. The thing is, we need to start building up this network and everything that we're doing so that more people have the courage to step up. Because right now, the system that we have, it's able to get away with this because no one has ever told the people of Chicago that there's something better. And right now, Chicagoans all across the city need to start rising up against this city and the amount of abuse and cronyism that we've been dealing with for decades. I believe that the people of Chicago deserve better, and more importantly, we can step up. It takes more initiative right now. We need to be that beacon. That's why we have Chicago Corner.
More people need to take direct action. And I will say I applaud this young woman despite the horrible circumstances that forced her to have to do this. The ex-lifeguard said she heard back from someone in the mayor's office about a month after sending the letter to Lightfoot in March of last year, and she was promised quick action. And this kind of speaks to what you just said, Kit. The reason I wrote to Lightfoot was because Lightfoot was a woman, she said recently. I get that she had a lot going on. There's COVID, there's issues with the police, but I don't feel she's put as much effort into it as I would have liked. It doesn't seem like she was in it to see it through. The ex-lifeguard said she agreed with Kip's suggestion that the Cook County State's Attorney's Office take over the investigation. But Lightfoot's spokesman again rejected that idea on Sunday. The most appropriate course at this point is to allow the Inspector General to finish her work without any actions by anyone that could be viewed as trying to influence the findings or recommendations, because they have to do that themselves. They have to do that themselves before they release the report and muddy the waters before there might be anything of value that the state's attorney could actually investigate.
And Lightfoot needs to keep as much distance as she possibly can if she actually decides to run for re-election.
Yeah, that's another.
It's all political.
Yeah. It's all political at the expense of people being victimized by public servants and people that work for the city. And we ultimately all end up paying for the lawsuits later, whether it's the Chicago Police Department lawsuits or any potential fallout that could come from these young women filing lawsuits. We'll see what happens. Well, any positive stories to share with our viewers tonight as we come out of this, Kip?
Yeah,
I think what you said earlier, I agree with it. But, it does come down to people stepping forward and taking action. I said on the show a couple of weeks ago, I'm tired of reporting on these stories and feeling helpless and bitching about it. And then we come across stories where, these young women step forward to do something. Several weeks ago, I had an inspirational lady on the show, Melissa Hernandez. I hope I have more people like her, showing how when people actually step up and take action, some change can happen.
Actually, there is an uplifting story. So number one, as we deal with this thunderstorm that's passing over the city of Chicago, 99 Perspectives, which again owns Hard Lens Media, Chicago Reacts, and Chicago Corner, we're moving into a bigger studio so it can be an open space for the people of Chicago to use that's affordable and that people can use to do their own shows, their own kind of recordings. And if they want to do something to build up speaking truth to power, and again, more community and citizen journalists, this is what's happening. That's what we're doing. So, Daniel and I, we live in the city of Chicago. Edward, Jerry, you guys are Chicago residents too. The whole team is from Chicago. And we're doing this for our studio to really make it a beacon for the people of Chicago to rally to. This is a brand new opportunity, and it's a new chance. And I think so long as there are people in Chicago like us, and like the people you've interviewed too, Jerry, that are willing to step up and take action, more people will follow. It's just no one knows about them. No one's talking about them. No one's talking about what we're doing at 99 Perspectives or the people you're interviewing. But we are. So let's make that happen.
And that's one of the advantages of having this platform. And I said in the early days that I was hosting this show, I didn't want to just report on the news. I want to interview people. I want to find stories throughout the city. It's a little hard for us with the limited resources we have to find people, although I have found a handful, whether it's the Medicare for All organizers, whether it was Melissa Hernandez, whether it was this Chicago author coming on and talking about her Chicago-themed podcasts. That's the kind of stuff I want to share with our audience. So I would encourage everybody watching, if you have stories from your neighborhoods or stuff that you're doing, please contact us at the links below. Let me know what's going on so we can have you on the show and talk about it, because I want to spotlight and showcase the people who are actually doing things as opposed to our reactionary conversations about things that are happening that we feel powerless about.
Yeah, exactly. And we can. And I believe in that. I believe in the work that we're doing, because what we're doing here is very important. And the thing is, I remember when we started off as a cell phone, a Galaxy S7 cell phone. If you were to tell me in 2017 that we would be moving to a larger new studio space that would be able to do a lot for us and has a great view of the city, I would have said, how is that possible? Well, every action to get to a bigger location to the next step is a small step forward. So I say, hey, Chicago Corner, we're taking these small baby steps, but those baby steps will lead to us to learning how to walk, then to fly, and to do so much more, so that the people of Chicago see that this city isn't beyond, repair. We can actually fix it and save it. So I'm all for this and what we're doing.
This city isn't beyond saving, Alfred.
There we go. Well, what? Batman's from Chicago anyways. The Dark Knight. Wait, first Batman begins in the Dark Knight. Dark Knight Returns was in Philly. But shout out to our people in Philly. Gotta show the place of brotherly love a lot of love. So there you go.
Ed, some of your closing thoughts, if any.
This week I learned how to make a donut-shaped deep dish pizza, and it was delicious.
Did you share it on your Twitter?
I did actually. I could share my screen and show it to you if you like.
Yeah. Let's share it with everybody.
Let me see if I.
You know what we need to do? We need to put up a page on Chicago Corner for E. Heller and his pizza recipes. Although you have a website with your Real Deep Dish Pizza website has got pizza recipes. Yes.
Here we go. Speaking of,
you should share it with Chef Ramsay. He'll probably be like, "It's raw."
Real Deep Dish presents What If? What would happen if I tried to make a donut-shaped deep dish pizza? Well, you can go to realdeepdish.com to read the article, but let's scroll down and look at the pictures here.
Oh, that looks delicious.
Now,
Oh wow.
Nice and stuffy.
Now the crazy thing was
right here, and I'm looking at it. It's just like it's great. I got double the view.
I started with just an idea on. I was like, okay, a lot of people are complaining on my site that when they make a pizza at home, sometimes they use too many ingredients and the center gets a little soggy. And yeah, it takes a little practice to figure out the right amount. But what would happen if I just took the middle out? So I went and figured, well, okay, I could put like a little ramekin in the middle there. And then my brain said, well, could I bake something in there in the middle while I'm doing that? And so that's why you see blackberries in there, because I made a cobbler at the same time. So here I am putting on my dough. There goes the cheese. We got sausage. We got the pepperonis. Here's the sauce coming out. And now it's time to throw those berries in the middle. And then we put a little cobbler batter on the top there.
You're multitasking your recipe.
Yeah, well, and then it's, okay, let's throw a little more color, some frozen peppers. I just, whatever I got on hand in the fridge or in the freezer. I'm like, okay, this thing's ready to go in the oven. It comes out of the oven, and I'm thinking, okay, let's see how the center cooked, because we weren't really sure. So we pull the cobbler out, and I'm like, okay, it's a little light in the center. It's probably done, but so we'll throw the pizza back in for 5 more minutes. But then basically, here's the slices. These are the money shots.
Oh, that looks delicious.
There you go. Nutritious and delicious. Delicious and nutritious.
And that's it. That's the end of the story.
So tell people more about your website, Ed.
This is an article on my website, realdeepdish.com, where I teach people how to make deep dish pizza at home. And I have a few recipes posted on there for the different styles of Chicago pizza. I think we're actually up to 4 or 5 styles now if you include pizza pot pie. But everybody thinks it's deep dish, and yeah, we that was the first one I tried to master for home baking. So everybody else who moves out of Chicago or wants to know how a deep dish pizza is made knows how easy it is just by going to realdeepdish.com.
Is it only pizza recipes there?
It's only pizza recipes for now. I suppose I could put in a recipe for the cobbler once I figure out the right ratio of ingredients, but it's not really that hard to make a cobbler.
You got to share your barbecue rib secrets that we enjoyed this summer.
I do have I believe at edheller.com, which is my personal website, which also will link you to the pizza website if you can't find that. There is an old recipes page, and I might have one of my barbecue rib rub recipes up there. I don't know if it's the latest one.
Everybody, you can find the website at
realdeepdish.com, which is, you can see it right here, realdeepdish.com.
Easy to remember.
Real easy.
There we go. Love it a lot, man. And you know what? We are going to be hosting a party at the new studio. So, Edward, maybe you should bring that donut pizza to the party for all the people to eat. It looks nutritious and delicious.
We'll have to make multiples, though, because that's going to go really fast.
It will, but you know what? Better yet, like first come, first serve. So if you miss it, too bad. The only way you should miss it is either if you're dead or in jail.
All right, I can turn this off now.
We got some really nice comments in the live chat tonight. Normally, I like to try to rotate stuff in, but I apologize, everybody. I was a little bit remiss as I was reading these long stories. B. Ford, HLM is my new favorite podcast. We're going to boost these subs for the corner. You guys are homegrown. I love it. Thanks, B. Ford. I really do appreciate that. We all do.
Thank you. And also shout out to Case Study QB. He's also in the live stream chat as well. He does a lot of good work. Twitter's censoring his Twitter account, but he has a original YouTube channel on Odyssey as well as on YouTube as well. So be sure to check out his original content. He's doing another important project called the People's Gauntlet. So there we go. Also, let's give it up for the Volcano Party. Let's give it up for Hard Lens Media, Chicago Reacts, and everything that we're doing at 99 Perspectives, because we're now going to this new studio.
The shameless plugs.
Going to help out the people of Chicago.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Listen, guys, thanks for joining me tonight. Everybody in the live stream, please, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share the channel, send your news stories to us. Stay safe in this rain. Drive carefully. If it's
boy.
I know Kit was facing that when he was trying to get home in time for tonight's live stream.
That's why I kind of look a little crazy. Yeah, that storm really got me.
We got all of the weather today. It got up to 97, and then we had thunderstorms that brought the temperature back down in the 70s, and it was just a downpour.
I'm dreading to think what our winter's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dreading it.
With all the climate.
It's going to get ugly.
Yeah. Well, remember, everybody, if it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it on Chicago Corner. Purchase one of our mugs at the Cafe Press Shop if you're so inclined. One more time, one more shameless plug. And as I say every week, signing off, be safe, Chicago. Thanks for joining us tonight.